Hey guys, Mike Lawson here. In this video, I want to go over keeping your mind straight. And when you keep your mind straight, that everything else will fall into place. And I want to give you 5 things that you can start doing immediately to make sure that you keep your mind straight and that, once your mind is straight, that everything else will fall into place. Now, I believe that we hear things at certain times in our lives for a reason. And I've heard this before, and this is actually an excerpt from Tony Robbins, but a good friend of mine sent it to me. But before we get into that, do me a favor, drop me in the comment section where you're watching in from. I see Albert in Arizona. Albert, it's actually going to be nice here today. 60 degrees, so it's not freezing yet. But I believe that, again, we hear things at certain times in our lives for a reason. So a good friend of mine, actually one of my coaches, sent me this video, and it was something that I just needed to hear it again. And I believe that we all need to hear things at certain periods in our life. So, Tony Robbins goes over these 5 things that we can do, because once we keep our mind, once we work on our mind and our mind is right, everything else falls into place. And this is so important because we're human. Self-doubt creeps in. We're around, the reality is, and I hate to say this, but the reality is that most people around us are not as positive as we are. So, when Jim Rohn talks about this, and this is what sparked me to do this video, is because this is one of my favorite sayings from Jim Rohn, and when I heard this years ago, was he says, stand guard at the door of your mind. And what he meant by that is, you need to protect what you allow into your mind. See, for so many years of my life, I listened to people that were broke, people that were negative, right? But we have the ability to shut that out, to shut that door. And he says that, Tony Robbins says that, listen, if your worst enemy in the world, comes by and drops sugar in your drink, what happens? Well, nothing. You just have a sugary drink. But if your best friend, somebody that loves you, somebody that's close to you, drops strychnine in your drink, what happens? You'll die. So it's so important, that little things can kill us. So we need to protect our drinks. We need to protect our minds, protect what's coming in to our minds. And do me a favor. If you can spell the word strychnine without Googling it, drop it in the comment section, and I'll have a little special bonus for you. I'll think of something. Without Googling it. I had to Google it. I did not know how to spell strychnine, so don't tell anybody. Okay, so the 5 things that you can start doing immediately to get your mind right is, number 1, feeding your mind. Okay, what are you listening to? What are you reading? And it's something that you need to do on a daily basis. Some of you guys know my story. Spent 7 years in college. I got involved in network marketing my last 2 years in college, and I did not want to read. So when I got involved in network marketing and my mentor said, what books are you reading? I'm like, I don't want to read. I want to be rich like you. I want to get out of college because I don't want to read. I didn't like reading. But it's not about, it's about reading stuff and working on your mind, right? The times that my business exploded, actually my traditional business as well, is when I shut off the radio and I was listening to Tony Robbins, and I was listening to positive stuff. My business always took off. On the other end of that, when my business dipped and I lost momentum, was when I got comfortable and I started listening to the radio. And it's crazy how that works. So what are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you putting in your mind? Remember, stand guard at the door of your mind. Number 2 is feed and strengthen your body. And Tony Robbins talks about that fear, because what stops us from talking to that person or asking for that date or trying to recruit that person or get somebody as a customer? What stops us? Well, it's fear. And Tony Robbins says that fear is physical. So we need to strengthen not just our mind, but our body, because once our body is right, our mind will be right. So maybe body might be just, if not just as important, if not more important. But you see, your body helps, again, change your mind. And this is so true. And think about it. When you are dressed up and you look good, right? You're on top of the world. You feel good. You'll talk to anybody. That's why it's so important that I believe that you dress for success. before you even if you're going to, and this is going to sound silly, but even before you start making phone calls, you need to feel good about yourself, right? That's why, you always put a smile on, right? Because people can feel a smile over the phone. So, right, when our body looks good and we feel good, okay, our mind is right, that's when great things start happening, okay? And you need to push yourself. I went on a jog, it's been about a little over a month now, and I haven't jogged in years. But jogging, my neighbor who had me, running, he said, listen, there's something called a jogger, a runner's high. I didn't know what it meant. And there was many times throughout these 3 miles that I felt like quitting because it was such a long time before I ran. But when I finished and I pushed myself, like the last, 100 yards, we said we're going to sprint. And again, I was dying halfway into the run. But it was at that end when we pushed ourselves. And when we were done, I knew what he meant by that runner's high because we pushed ourselves. So I encourage you to push yourselves, okay? Now, number 3 is find a role model or a coach. You need to find somebody that's going to believe in you, that's going to help you, right? Believe in your dreams and believe in your goals. See, I don't know if you grew up in an environment like I did, but there was no one around me that really had dreams, that really had goals. I mean big dreams. I'm talking about dreams that people are like, you're crazy, that'll never work. Those types of dreams. You need to be around people that will feed those beliefs and help you achieve those dreams. And I want to throw this out there, that we all know people that are successful, right? Here's what I'd encourage you to do. Go buy them lunch. Give them a call and say, hey, listen, can I take you out for lunch? Buy them lunch. Spend an hour with them and pick their brains and buy them lunch. How much is a lunch going to cost you? $20? $30? $50? Where you're sitting down with I'll give you a true story. I just had 2 great lunches in the last week, right? And again, I'm asking them to go to lunch. So, the second one, she asked me to go to lunch, but I ended up paying. But the information that I got from both of these meetings were invaluable. And I'm looking at the tab and I just laughed. I'm like, $38 for all that information you just gave me? It was $1 million information. I sat down with somebody that literally built $1 million business. Launched his, another course, and it was $1 million business overnight. And I was picking his brain, and I'm like, for $38, right? So go buy somebody a lunch, right? Get a role model, get a coach. If you need help with coaching, hit me up. I can help you out with that. And number 4 is you need a plan. Now, this is where I believe most people get stuck because they believe that their plan must be perfect. It must be well organized and orchestrated. Now, listen, if you're thinking to yourself, I need to start working out. I need to lose weight. Well, just start. You don't need, you know what you need to do. You don't need a plan. Just go do it. I don't know. Just force yourself to go to the gym. Or if you're afraid to go to the gym, just, go run around the house. Go take a walk in your neighborhood. Just do something, right? Just take action. Massive action. Just start. Because progress equals happiness. And even if it's just like, listen, I haven't worked out in years. Just like I didn't run. I haven't ran in years. But just by doing that feeling that I had was unbelievable. Now, if you haven't ran in years, I don't encourage you to go on a 3-mile run. I don't encourage that at all because I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm getting up there in age and I don't need a heart attack. So, number 5 is feed your spirit. Right? Feed your spirit, whatever that looks like, right? Spend time being grateful. Spend time. Now, this is something that I've always been grateful, but it's spending the time to sit down without my phone and to sit down in silence for 10 minutes, 20 minutes was so hard for me. And if you're like me, where your mind is always racing, do me a favor, drop a 1 in the comment section. Where that was me. I'm always like, I just can't sit still, especially in silence, because my mind is all over the place. And if that's you, I can relate to that. But you need to take that time and just be grateful. All right? Just be thankful for everything you have, because remember that there's always somebody else out there that wish they had or wish they were going through what you're going through, wish they had the problems that you have. And the second part to this is give, right? You always feel better giving than receiving, right? So go out there and give. And it doesn't have to be just financially and monetarily. Just give. Give of your time. Help somebody, right? Maybe, you see an old lady, walking groceries to her car, and you just help her put those groceries in her car. Just give, right? And be grateful. And that's just feeding your spirit, which is ultimately feeding your body and feeding your mind. So I hope you guys got value out of this. If you did, do me a favor, drop the word value in the comment section. And, and as always, if you did, you know somebody that would benefit from hearing this message, right? This is such a great message, again, from Tony Robbins. So tag them on this. Share this with them. And as always, I appreciate all your support, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day, everybody.